I have to wait because I have, it's not a big injury, it's a little boo-boo, but I want to make sure that we're okay there on defense. And it's not Erik, so Erik's playing. So, and since we've got 12 and 7 right now, it's, if we want to wait for the D, we'll go 12 forwards, obviously, and if not, we'll go 7.
Players, that's 3 in a row that you've played 11-7. Do the players seem comfortable in that scenario? You're not getting any negative feedback?
Well, I don't know, 6-1-6-0, I don't know how negative that is. So, I didn't hear anything. Oh, no, I know the top forwards always love that, but hasn't been any kind of talks about it, no.
What's the benefit to you? Traditionally, obviously, it's 12-6. What do you like to do with 11-7?
There's many reasons for it. I started that in midget 20 years ago. So I did a midget, American League, junior, my first year in Tampa. But you can only do it if you've got the personnel to do so. Usually on defense, you don't have that kind of depth, but we do. So that's something that you can use. The reason why I started doing that years ago is, first of all, where the game is going, because there's no hooking anymore, and defensemen so much more active. They jump into the rush, contrary to before. They pinch on forechecks. They go deep into the forecheck. They're asked to jump in on transition also. Since it's a skating game now, it's a lot tougher for them. And so they get worn out faster. The minute you have somebody fighting that's a defenseman, like last game with Burrow, you're down to 5. And then you're not down to 5, you got 6, and you keep running. One of your defensemen gets injured, you're still down to 6. You got specialty players like a power play guy that's not as good on the 5-on-5. Then you could have him in the lineup, contrary to using 6 if he's just a specialty guy. You can't really do that. So that's on the defenseman side. On the other side, as your top players come back more often if you have 11 guys and they don't have to wait 4 lines. Top players hate playing 4 lines, like they detest that. And when you look at Fort line with Stone on it, that's not a Fort line anymore. Churris is on it, that's not a Fort line anymore. So it's very difficult for the opponent to match that. And when you're on the road and they're waiting for your Fort line to get on, but Stone gets on the Fort line, that's very tough for them to match that. So there's many, many reasons why it has some advantages. And it's not something I'm trying. It's something I've done for years. I just couldn't do it last year. But, if you look at Europe, they play with 2 more players. They have every game 7 Ds and 13 forwards. And they do that because it's a bigger ice surface, where there's a lot of skating, but I think that's what the NHL's become. It's become a skating league where it demands more of defensemen, and so it's just one more tool, but hey, that's just me. I'm no smarter than any guy, it's just something I'm comfortable with and I've had success with.
But if you had Karlsson, when Karlsson's on his percent...
Doesn't change Karlsson's, it doesn't change...
You have enough ice time for 6 guys?
It doesn't change Karlsson's ice time. It changes your bottom 6 ice time. Your bottom of your defenseman. That never changes your top end.
You played the same. You said on the weekend that you played the same without Karlsson.
Mm-hmm.
How do you play the same way with
The same. We haven't changed anything. We're not going to change anything. He just brings his attributes, and he's been outstanding last year at buying into everything that we were doing and being a total dedicated defenseman to both sides of the ice. And he's going to come in and do the same. That's what our team is. Our team has really bought into being on the same page. That's our strength. We're a team. We were last year, and I think we've demonstrated that again this year in Erik's absence, and that's our strength. But if you add Erik's strengths to being a team, that's what makes us more of a threat. And so Erik comes in and he just does his thing. We're not going to demand more or less of him or something different. We didn't demand anything different out of our guys in the first games. We didn't switch anything. We didn't say that we needed something different because Erik wasn't there. We just replaced Erik on the power play by Wideman. And Shabbat, when he was there, we gave him some ice time there so we could rest some of the other guys. And that's a perfect example of going with 7 Ds. You can bring in a young guy has a specialty like Shabbat, and on the road not being exposed against top lines because you can use him more on the power play, and then it rests Dion because Dion has to do so much on 5-on-5 and penalty kill. So we gave Dion a rest because Shabbat was able to get on that power play, and Weidman was able to take more power play. So that luxury you have with playing 7Ds when you can, that's just one example. But in terms of how we're not approaching the game any different. We're not just come in, Erik, and we'll play into your game.
Is your team killing penalties any differently than you did at the end of last season, or is it the personnel? I guess Nate Thompson is
It's both. It's both. It's both. You know, you got to remember that, you know, we were top 10 on penalty kill before the last month and a quarter. We were doing terrific, and all of a sudden we start to have problems, and you know, we couldn't stop the slide. Sorry, and we just this summer, Crow worked extremely hard of trying to keep up with the best PKs, and why we struggle at the end, and it was a mixture of both. You know, we became a little more passive all of a sudden, and our personnel started to it seemed a little overwhelmed by the end. And that's the biggest reason why we went and got Thompson. Thompson is our best penalty kill player, and it's made a gigantic difference, not just because of he's on the ice, but also because he's able to transmit his knowledge and his experience to the other guys that are here that were younger, like Pajot, for instance, who's a good penalty kill, but who's getting better and better, and he's going to become a high-end expert penalty kill guy. But just like 5-on-5 or just like power play, when you've got guys that are experts at something, they become models, and models are have a lot more impact than coaches do when you've got those guys around, and that's what Thompson is. He's done a terrific job with our other guys for face-offs too. And penalty kill, and so we're able to double shift him on the penalty kill, which means that we don't have to double shift other guys like Smith, who can play on a power play and play 5-on-5 on our top two lines and have more energy to do so. So it's a mix, and you know, we're more aggressive in some areas on the penalty kill, and we've covered some of the things that we felt we were given last year, and we focused on that to start the year, and it's paid off. So it's a mix of personnel and also changing a few things, but I mean, the core principles are the same. But in this league, it's just a matter of a few differences, and then the result is different. And we didn't want to be anything different this year than we were last year. We want to evolve from what we were last year, add, tweak, take out a little bit, but 80% of what we do is definitely going to be the same. And whatever we add and change is by increments, so that we don't start bringing problems in rather than improving. So I think it's a increment approach, I call it. So.